Alright, hey guys, today this is my video about how to clean a float bulb carburetor. So what you're looking at now is a older Toro commercial mower with the legendary 2-stroke Suzuki engine on it. And right now, as you can tell, I have the gas tank torn off and lay on top of the generator. And it's pretty torn apart, and this is one I just recently cleaned the carb on. So just so I can videotape it with one hand, I've already loosened up and taken off all the bolts and everything, but the assembly's still there. So just like that Craftsman engine and my How to Troubleshoot Your Motor, this one, even though it's a 2-stroke, is similar. It has the muffler over here, there's a spark plug in the head, and here's a big container over here. It contains the air box with the carburetor behind it. So, when you go to do this, first you have to take the air box cover off, like so. Now, I already took the air cleaner out, so you're not going to be able to see this, and normally, alright, so wait one second. So this piece is gonna look like this when you get in there. Now see those two studs sticking out? Normally there's gonna be bolts on there which you take off. So then you slide that off, and then you slide this whole air box off like so. So now what you're looking at is the carburetor right there, the float bulb. Normally the gas line comes in right here, and there's a breather line that comes off here. So there's going to be cables connected to the top of it, which I already connected, but this one connects here, so that one's removed. And then this one back here connects like so, so now that one's removed. So now that you have everything disconnected, you're going to have to pull the gas line off as well. Your carburetor should be loose, and you can slide it right off. Alright guys, now here is your carburetor. Now looking at the carburetor, here's the choke plate right here. So when you choke your engine, that's what turns, and back here is the throttle, which the governor hooks up to. Turns this plate. You want to make sure both plates are easy to move and are working like they should be. Alright, next thing you want to do is this float bulb's have to come off. So you take the screw out the bottom of it. And there's going to be some gas in here, so it's going to be leak out, so I have a paper towel or something under it. And then you're going to want to take it off, like so. Now there's going to be a gasket in here, as you can see, and like there's a gasket stuck on the front and on the back. When I clean carburetors, especially with older mowers, I leave the gaskets on there because they're normally stuck by grease and grime and just use the pressure. Some people try to remove them, but really all that does is end up ripping them off, in my experience, and then you just have to buy new parts. So now that you have that off, there's your float bulb, like so. Now, if the float bulb in here is really dirty, you can take it off. And how you take it off is this pin that goes through it. You remove it, and then there's also a needle that goes down under there as well, which keeps it so when the float bulb fills up, the needle fills the hole and gas will stop running into the float bulb. Alright, so if you take that off, just make sure you put it together like it came out. Because if you mess it up, gas is going to leak everywhere. Now how to clean the carburetor and the jets. When looking in the face of it, you can notice the 2 holes here and the lines are here, but there's 1 hole over here as well. What you're going to do with those is make sure they're unclogged. These aren't the main jets. These are like little secondary jets that you're definitely going to want clean. So what I do is this carb cleaner. It's not a name brand. It's at Big Lots. It's the cheapest one you can get. I use. And you're going to want to put it in the nozzle into each jet. Just spray real well. Make sure it's going to want to shoot right back at you. So not only hold it out in front of you or something, and shoot it through each one of these passages until you see it come out somewhere else. Some of these come back out at the bottom. Some of these passages will come out in the back. Just make sure they're clear. Now the most important jet is right down the middle of this. And you can't see in the video, but it's a brass jet that is removable in most of these carburetors, especially the Japanese engines like Honda and Suzuki, like this Kawasaki. They have this setup where they have this passage right here that has to be clean going in the side, and then up the center has to be clean. So just like with other jets, you're going to stick the carb. You're going to have 2 hands to work with, so it's going to be a lot easier. You're going to stick the needle down in there in the jet and spray. and you should see spray shoot right up in the center. And then also you're going to come to this jet on the side here, spray through, and make sure gas is coming out in the center of here. Now you're going to want all these jets in here to be super clean, and also the inside of this should be clean as can be also. So you just generally spray carb cleaner throughout in there. The outside of the carburetor, this one's gunky, and you can definitely spray that off too if you would like. I normally do. This one I just haven't really finished doing yet. So now that all your passes are squeaky clean, you want to make sure they're all flowing good, you can reassemble your carburetor. Screw this nut back in the bottom. And now you have a perfectly clean carburetor that you should be able to hook back up, and if you have a spark and a nice clean air filter and good gas, always use fresh gas and drain out the old, it should run perfectly fine. Now like I said in my troubleshooting video, these always like to clog up if you leave gas in them, because they get in this float bulb, and all those tiny jets that I showed spraying up in the center of here and through the side, they get clogged because all the ethanol in the gas, the new gas, gums up carburetors fast, gets all gunky in here as well, and then they won't start right. So when you mow your lawn for the last time of the season, draining the gas can really prevent this kind of thing from happening. And I install shut-off valves in all my equipment gas lines, which you can get for about $5 at AutoZone or a Lowe's, and you just cut your line and stick them in there, and you can turn the gas off, and then you can run them out of gas after each use, and this really prevents these things from clogging up. Now, like I showed you the Briggs engine with the float bulb in one of my previous videos, they have a nut on the bottom as well, but the nut on the bottom of theirs is different. This is just the nut, and I showed you the jet right here was on the side, which feeds gas into the carb. It's where it sucks up, and then this shoots it into the center here where it's all mixed. But in Briggs, that jet is found in this nut at the bottom, and it's going to have a hole on right through the center of it, a hole, and there's going to be two small holes on each side. This is what kills Briggs engines, especially those Briggs Quantums. They can be a pain to restart if you leave gas in them. Making sure this is clean, it has to be almost perfectly clear. They're really tiny jets, and on those Briggs engines you want to make sure they're cleared. I just did a pressure washer for my friend that set and didn't run, and we sprayed it out with carb cleaner, and carb cleaner still wouldn't start. And what I have bought to clean out these Briggs engines, because they're so common on cheap mowers that people want fixed, is to buy one of these carburetor baths you can get at a auto parts store. And you pop the lid off, and there's a basket in here. You put it in and let it soak for about 20 minutes and wash off with water. You put that screw in there out of the Briggs engine, and it'll clean it right up, and it'll fire up completely. And why you can't put this whole carb in this cleaner is you would have to remove every piece of plastic and rubber off of it to put in there, or it will eat it away. And I just don't have the time or think it's practical enough to do that. So I just want to stick to the can cleaner, except with jets, like so. So I hope now you know how to clean a float bowl carburetor. And if you hope it can get your equipment running and get your grass cut.